fix it. Blah, blah, blah. There we go. How about now? I think it's working.
Are we there?
There we go. Yeah, we're on. Sorry about that, guys. We are here. It is the Drive-In Speaker Box. For those of you that are listening to the podcast recording of this, you're going to be like, what was all that technical blah-de-blah? But we're here, so we got it fixed.
Technical nonsense.
That's what happens when you do it live. Every time that you see, one of our episodes, we don't rehearse this. We don't edit this. This is recorded live. We hit go, and then we're in your face. So yeah, sometimes these little technical difficulties happen. So welcome to the show. We're here. This is the Drive-In Speaker Box. I'm your host, Bo, the boom operator.
I am Slick Doggy the Grip.
And he's back.
I'm back.
You had the COVID, yeah?
I unfortunately did. And every person in my life took that as an opportunity to tell me that they can't believe that I'm the one that actually got the stuff because I wear my mask all the time. Mm-hmm. I have all my vaccinations that I've been allowed to get. I need to get my second booster. Someone told me that's open up to all age groups, but I think they make you wait a certain time after.
Yeah, even children can get it now.
Yeah. But yeah, my fiance had gotten sick, and I think it took about a week, and then it finally got to me. So,
well, we're glad to have you back. Being sick's no fun.
No, it was not. It's not a joke. It was awful. I had a real bad time, and I still can't really smell stuff very well.
I feel like everybody's gonna get it, so it's just gonna it's coming for you.
Thanks, Adam.
It's coming for you, and thanks for that sub, Vince over there. Another long time sub. If you are wanting to participate online, you can hit us up on our Facebook, our Twitch, or our YouTubes every Monday night, 8:00 Central Standard Time. You can be a part of the fun right here from the Speaker Box Studios. Every Monday night. So this week we've got some stuff to talk about. Not a whole lot of big news. We both went and saw Thor, Love and Thunder. We're going to be talking about that later in the show. Oh wow, Vince with the 12-month sub, full year. It has been a whole year. Wow.
Nice.
Wow, that's intense. Thank you for your continued support of the Drive-In Speaker Box. Because a viewer like you, it allows us to, almost pay a fraction of the Restream IO subscription. So
how about that?
Thank you very much. What up, Bottle Rocket? What up, James in the chat? Adam over on YouTube. Sam on Facebook. Everybody already in the chat. But we're going to be talking about Thor Love and Thunder later in the show, but there has got to go through some news, got to talk about some new stuff that happened, some people that have died. Probably the biggest death in Hollywood over the past handful of days was, of course, actor James Caan. Guy has been in so many movies, always playing kind of like that hard ass dude. It's James Caan. He's been in so many freaking things.
He was in Elf.
He was in Elf. He's actually there's going to be a movie next year coming out, Fast Charlie, which will probably be the last role that you'll see him in because it's actually in post-production. He was supposed to be in two other films, Redemption and Acre Beyond the Rye, which were both announced projects. I don't know if any of those have been filmed or if he's actually going to be able to be in those movies at all, if anything had been taking place pre-production wise, but yeah, he was he was still acting,
2 years old,
all the way up until his final days, making that weird haircut somehow work. Those big bushy, like the hair going, like the sideburns, like going into like hairstyle territory. Very strange. So but as Sam said, I love the Godfather game that had James Caan reprising his role as Sonny Corleone. Yeah, that's James Caan was a cool dude. He was. Vince said he liked at the end of each tweet on Twitter he would type, "That's the tweet." How does he? I mean, there's only so much space you get on Twitter, so I don't know how you could sacrifice those characters for saying that's the tweet, unless your tweets were always very, very small. But James Caan pouring one out there. If you've got something to pour, I'm just drinking ice water. This week, I'm trying to be good.
There you go. Yeah. Hey, oh my God.
I'm cutting out a lot of alcohol and
Smart.
food. And I mean, it's not because like alcohol isn't awesome. I'm just trying to cut calories. And
Well, you don't want to end up like one of the many other people in the celebrity Deadpool here, because it was announced today. I'm just saying, being healthy, dude. Stay healthy.
I'm trying.
You can live to 82 like James Caan, or
probably will.
94 like Monty Norman, the man who composed the James Bond theme song. Yeah, it was announced today that he passed away. So there you go. And another actor at 94 years old as well, L.Q. Jones. Name might not ring a bell, but you've probably seen him before. He acted since 55 up until 2006.
Dang.
But he was in The Wild Bunch. He was in the movie The Edge, if you've ever seen that, where the bear is like attacking Anthony.
You'll pay for the whole scene, but you'll only need the edge.
Yeah, he was
where the three dudes were like trapped in the wilderness, and
three
Anthony
dudes for a
Hopkins.
minute, and then one of them
Yeah.
gets eaten by the bear. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it turns out that Alec Baldwin and Anthony Hopkins have like to fight each other and the bear and stuff and survive.
I remember seeing that in the theater.
Well,
And-
that would have been terrifying in the theater.
I mean, seeing movies with me, because I always end up laughing uncontrollably, like in very inappropriate times. Like my, I'm things that make me laugh out loud are very strange. And in that film, when the bear just out of nowhere just leaps out and just chomps that dude.
Yeah, he picks him up in his mouth and like runs away with him.
And he's gone. and I just couldn't help it, but I just busted out laughing. I was the only one in the theater that busted out laughing.
Yeah, because that scene is absolutely terrifying. It's in
Yeah.
the dark. They're sitting around the campfire. Their plane has crashed because of stupid birds, and they're trying to
They're not even real.
They're trying to survive in Alaska wilderness, freezing to death.
Didn't bring their hatchet.
And that bear just leaps out of the woods, grabs that dude, doesn't care about the fire.
And gives him a good shake.
Yeah, and he like can hold him in his mouth because the bear is so massive, and yeah, it's terrifying.
As Sam said, kind of like Samuel Jackson in The Shark. It was that Deep Blue Sea where he's like giving this motivational speech
Well-
to everybody. He's like, I'm Samuel Jackson. And
Yeah, the first time I saw that movie, it was like, what the hell? Because they just took out the biggest name in the entire movie.
because they couldn't afford him for the rest of the movie.
Oh, that makes sense. Dude was also in like Mask of Zorro. He was in The Patriot, and one of my favorite movies from when I was a kid, Lightning Jack.
Oh, Lightning Jack.
Yeah, he was
That's a
also
great
he was
movie.
just in tons of war movies
Paul
and
Hogan,
westerns
yeah?
and stuff like that. Yeah, Paul Hogan and Cuba Gooding
Cuba
Jr.
He was
before
the
world.
deaf and mute guy.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, he was mute. He wasn't deaf. He was just mute.
Just
yeah.
mute. I couldn't remember. I knew he couldn't speak, and he had
Yeah.
to write things on the.
Yeah, he had the
deal.
notepad and he'd write it down, and that one prostitute has him upstairs, and she's like, I can do anything I want, and you can't tell anybody. And he starts to be like, yeah, I can write it down. And he goes, oh, wait. He's like, you're right.
You're
Yeah.
right. Can't tell nobody.
Yep, can't tell anybody. Lots of good movies, so that one, but 94, hey, that's
I don't
way to
know.
go.
I mean, A, I don't know if I'll make it to 94, and B, I don't know if I want to.
Yeah, I feel that.
You know,
Well,
because like I can't. And this is just gonna sound really depressing, but I don't think I'll have anything to live for past like 70. You know,
you never know.
I don't have any grandkids. I don't have any kids. I was like, what if everything's gonna be done? I'm just gonna be an old cottering ding dong, like farting around through life, being like, someone noticed me. Oh. And it's just like fucking kill me, I guess. Like,
We'll still be here doing the podcast, I guess.
probably. And a moth will come and land on my face. Like, he's just like, don't die, boom operator. Let me just get in your eye. I'll just put you in this.
Let it go. Let
No.
it be.
Because it's going to fly in my face again. I'm just going to put it in that cup, and I'll
Let it
set
be.
it free later.
Well, coming in 30 years younger, passing away, Lenny Von Dolan, who played the keeper of Laura Palmer's journal and botanist boy in Twin Peaks. He passed away. And a lot of these people, they said it was just after like short illnesses. Like they're like,
weird,
I'm
dude.
sick. So careful out there, everybody.
Yeah, you're going to die. We're all going to die.
I felt like I was going to when I had that COVID, dog. I tell you, like first 2 days, it was a bad time.
Well, those are the people that died. A couple of trailers dropped. What's up, Q, over on Facebook? A couple of trailers dropped. I watched, there was a big trailer that dropped for Thor Love and Thunder that was pretty interesting because you don't see a lot of movies from David O. Russell. But the new David O. Russell trailer for, Amsterdam dropped this weekend at the theaters. And we're talking like insane ensemble cast. And I was having a conversation with the old storyboarder, actually, who is going to be
alive.
He's still alive. He's actually going to be working on some stuff for the show, some illustrations that we can use. We've been working on some ideas for that. But we were just talking about, like, how character actors have died. It's like the concept of an actor that plays multiple characters is kind of going away and being replaced with just celebrity, And in this film, Amsterdam, it stars Christian Bale, Margot Robbie, and John David Washington. Among, you got Chris Rock, Anya Taylor-Joy, Zoe Saldana, Mike Myers, Michael Shannon, Timothy Olyphant, Taylor Swift, like Rami Malek, Robert De Niro. You've got like just this insane cast of people. But almost everybody in this movie is just kind of like, here's Robert De Niro being Robert De Niro in this movie. Here's Chris Rock sort of not being over the top Chris Rock, but still Chris Rock. Here's Margot Robbie being Margot Robbie. And if you close your eyes, you're like, oh, okay, it's Harley Quinn. Oh, no, not Harley Quinn. This is a different movie. I really like seeing all of these talented people on screen, but where's the point where we're watching them just because they're famous and going to see these movies because they're famous and going, oh, wow, this movie because they're famous, and not like these people are acting really well. As Vince said in Twitch, kind of like professional voice actors, like you see all these animated movies coming out that's not like voice actors making a character. It's here's Jack Black being a fat panda bear that kind of looks like Jack Black that's just a panda bear. And, all of these celebrities are like, and the voices of these celebrities that sounding exactly like themselves in these character roles. It's weird.
Yeah, but Christian Bale can kind of be a character actor. He's
noticed I didn't mention him in this movie.
Yeah,
though,
he will transform himself to the point that it's very unhealthy for him.
Yeah, so, he looks like he's probably going to carry this movie, honestly. But David O. Russell makes good movies. If you don't know his movies, I've kind of got into the David O. Russell game back in 2000 and, actually, I guess it was in the 90s with Three Kings. Not his best, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good movie, but then he just, I Heart Huckabees came along in 2004, and I love that movie. I absolutely love I Heart Huckabees. And, a lot of people got on the David O. Russell train with Silver Linings Playbook because it got a lot of nominations and some Oscar wins. And then American Hustle, of course, came afterwards and got, again, more accolades. But now everyone's like, oh, David O. Russell, because he does tend to write and produce and direct his own films. And they all have kind of a specific flavor. But yeah, I thought it was a cool looking trailer. It'll be interesting. Shout outs to Tyler just joining us over on YouTube. What up? Al Topich says David O. Russell doesn't know how to make a proper ensemble movie. And I'm worried about that too, because I do like some of his earlier scripts. I think he does do interesting stuff, but I think this movie might get crushed under the weight of its celebrity. And that's just, my opinion. But
yeah, you put Taylor Swift in a movie, and it's just like, where can you go from there?
Yeah, I'm feeling 22. But that trailer dropped and thought it was pretty interesting. What other trailer did I want to mention?
Clerks.
Clerks 3.
Mm-hmm.
Your thoughts on Clerks 3? Did you see the trailer?
I did, and I also saw it advertised as a Fathom event release for 2 days only.
Didn't they do that with Silent J? That was like the
reboot.
The reboot,
that
yeah.
We have a poster for somewhere.
Yeah, it's back. I think it's on one of the shelves. We've got it up here somewhere.
Yeah, we got a poster for it because we went and we watched it.
We have too many things here in the studio that we can't display them all. There's just there's piles of things down here.
Man, so I'm not. At one point in time, I really liked Kevin Smith movies. I thought Mallrats was super rad.
90s Kevin Smith was a thing.
Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back was a lot of fun.
It's a snapshot of a period of time.
Yeah, Dogma was okay, but you had Chasing Amy was goofy. But so at one point in time, I thought it was like really good stuff. then Clerks 2 happened, and you're like, ugh, come on, man, what are you doing? And Clerks 3 just looks like another attempt at the reboot type thing, because they're very self-aware in it and breaking the third wall, and it's
lots of that. Yeah,
they're
lots of self-awareness.
playing their characters in a movie, so it's very like Zack and Miri meets Clerks 2 meets Jay and Silent Bob reboot, kind of like a fusion of other movies he's made.
And I think that Kevin Smith, while I do respect him for a lot of the stuff that he's done, I just don't know if it's necessary. I know he's gotten a lot of pressure to make this movie, and I really love, the original Clerks is an amazing film, and the second one's not bad either, it just, I don't know. There's so much self-awareness, jumping shark, and nostalgia bait that I can kind of tolerate before I feel like it's unnecessary. And let's see, Al says on Facebook, I love Kevin Smith to death, but it feels like he ran out of interesting things to say. Yeah, I agree. And, I'll see this because, revisiting some of those old Kevin Smith movies is very fun. And,
Mallrats is still good.
Mallrats is still a fun watch. But, the Clerks 3 trailer, I'm not so excited about. Hardy Entertainment over there on YouTube says 3,000 Years of Longing looks good. The trailer's been out a little bit. I've been seeing a lot of it in the theaters. That is another one. We talked about this one not too long ago. That it looks like it's probably going to be pretty good. Over the top, a lot of visuals, a lot of fun stuff, and a great cast. Idris Elba, of course. Who wouldn't want to see Idris Elba as a genie?
I don't know.
But did you see the trailer to the new sort of noir whodunit, which I guess is like coming back now with another Knives Out, and then the Murder on the Nile or whatever that was just. But there's a new one with Sam Rockwell and what's her name? Saoirse Ronan, called See How They Run.
I have not seen the trailer for this.
I love Sam Rockwell. I will watch anything that he's in, but it's it's got Adrian Brody, David Oyelowo, Ruth Wilson, Harris Dickinson. It looks pretty fun, kind of Grand Budapest Hotel-y meets Murder on the Orient Express meets Knives Out, but with Sam Rockwell as the detective. So sign me up. I'm into it. I like detective noir stuff. I like that old murder mystery stuff. I think it's fun. So that trailer dropped this week. I think it looks cute and fun. Tyler says the Hocus Pocus 2 trailer.
Yeah, that's a thing. For Disney Plus, doesn't make a lot of sense how the Sanderson sisters can come back after the curse was broke and the black flame candle is no more. Everything makes money. Yeah, the kids find the black flame candle, and who cares about a curse or a spell that was cast and made its use, and they weren't able to connect with it, and so they were banished to hell for all of eternity or whatever. Why does it have to make sense? Why?
Disney needs their money, so, reasons.
Anyone does not need money.
Well, they want their money.
Oh, yeah.
And this is something about, like, the Disney that we're going to talk about later in the show when we start talking about Thor. But like Disney and all these movies that are just total bait, like, pander bait, have no consequence. There's no sense of consequence. Like, I thought the Sanderson sisters died. Let's put it to rest. And no, because, reasons. You like them, so they're never going to die ever. And now they're probably going to be good guys, even though in the original movie, they're like child murdering
pure evil
people, and we're like, but now we like them, so they're the heroes. And can we just,
did Bink's life mean nothing to you, Disney?
No. Binks sacrificed himself so that this sequel couldn't get made. But yeah, anyway. Tyler says we'll use the white flame candle on Indiana Jones. I thought I saw like a teaser poster to the new Indiana Jones, and I couldn't tell if it was real or not because it looked so shitty.
There's another Indiana Jones coming out. That's a thing too.
I think they've wrapped filming, and it's going into post. But yuck, man, I don't want it. Anyway. Did you have any other news that you wanted to mention? It was kind of a light news week this week. Stranger Things wrapped up since in our break. right?
I've never watched any of Stranger Things. I watched like the first 10 minutes of the first episode of the first season, and
This last season kind of stuck the landing.
I did watch the new Orville episode. Orville's doing really good things. I like everything about it. If you still haven't hopped on the Orville train, do that. It's really good.
Yeah, I've been enjoying it, even though Vince, over one of our reviewers on Twitch, was saying that he's not really feeling it. But I still think it's good. It's good science fiction, strong science fiction. I do still agree with the point that he made a couple episodes back. It's like, when it was so comedy-centric to start with, and now it's getting more serious, some of the people that were cast for comedic purposes you can kind of feel their performances feeling a little awkward for some of the other actors that have more range.
Yeah, but I think it works for that show and what it's trying to do, which is be like, I watched the thing with Seth MacFarlane, and he goes, the whole thing is you try and take what real people would be like.
Right.
He's like, you watch Star Trek, and they're Federation officers. They're not like real everyday people. And he tries to approach it as like, what would a real person be like put in this scenario where they have that responsibility, but they're still a real person. And I think that kind of thing works out for it. But talking about unreal people, The Boys wrapped up too.
I still haven't watched the last one.
The last episode of the last season?
The one that just came out Friday.
Yeah,
I haven't watched it.
It's good.
Is it good?
Yeah.
God, it's been good.
Dude, the Soldier Boy stuff has been sick.
Soldier Boy, what is it? Soldier Boy? Is that the Superman say?
Them hoes.
Yeah. But yeah, a lot of TV going on right now. Not a lot of whole news. I mean, like I said, Stranger Things. People were talking about Stranger Things. After 4 seasons, finally, the last 2 were kind of weak. This one started off really weak for me, but ended pretty nicely. Now, of course, they're gonna have one more. We'll see. The Bear. I finished watching season 1 of The Bear. If you're into the hospitality industry or ever been in the hospitality industry, recommend the show. Although I have some complaints about like what kind of the restaurant they work in makes absolutely no sense, because it's supposed to be like a Chicago beef shop. And if you've ever been to a Chicago beef shop, they're generally small, divey, and have 5 items on the menu. And it's like a beef sandwich, an Italian sausage sandwich, maybe one other sandwich, and then another sandwich. And this one, like, there's episodes where they're like reducing a gravy for a risotto, and you're like, what fucking restaurant is this? Like, who make your sandwich? Why do you have a pastry chef on staff? This is a sandwich shop. Like, who has a pastry? And it's like, I get it. They're trying to build a lot of tension for restaurant culture, but it just doesn't make any sense that all this stuff's happening in a tiny little sandwich shop. It'd be like us going to Wes's Barbecue here in Fayetteville, and someone's like in the kitchen stressing out about a roux reduction for some sort of, souffle that they're going to make, some savory souffle. And you're like, what? This is Wes's Barbecue. Give me the tater tots and I'll be on my way.
Chicago beef shop sounds like one of my foreign films, is what Sam says. That's funny.
Super beef, Italian beef.
It's good that Stranger Things is still doing so good, because Netflix apparently needs the help. Their subscriber drop-off has continued, especially after they're like, what about a new commercial option? But I think most of the news just reported is Netflix is going to have commercials. People are like, forget that. They're doing where there's tiered subscriptions now, and you can get like a commercial option for less dollars, but you have to watch commercials, which is the whole reason you got Netflix to begin with, was to not deal with friggin' commercials. So
I had my movie pass. I brought my old movie pass.
Oh.
There was a perfect reason to pull up my old movie pass. It's around here somewhere. But the reason I was wanting to mention movie pass is because I'm worried for Netflix, and here's why. Because Netflix, the thing about Netflix is it requires content to stay relevant, right? And in this streaming war that we're in, every studio, every production house, every, Paramount, CBS, HBO, Disney, Warner Brothers, like everybody's wanting to have their own catalog be accessible through their own streaming service paywall, so they can continue to maximize on the profits and not pay a third-party distribution service like Netflix to get the content to the people. And so a company like Netflix, who really pioneered streaming services and streaming media in our homes and changed the game, is going to lose out because they never started as a studio, so they don't necessarily have a giant catalog of properties and stuff to fill up their offerings, and it's like everyone's like, oh, they don't have enough stuff, and it's like they're trying really hard to make it, but they don't have 20 years of back catalog like Paramount and Warner Brothers and Disney. They can be like, well, we got all this stuff because we've been making it since, well, before you can remember.
Yeah, and they can't compete with Amazon on that either because Amazon bought MGM.
Yep, right? And they bought MGM, and didn't they buy another? I can't remember. But anyway, and Disney bought Fox. So, like these catalogs are all getting divvied up, and Netflix isn't a studio, and they're very new to the studio game. So, and they of course don't have the financial flex that Amazon does to just go, this studio belongs to me now, and this belongs to me now. And so I worry for Netflix because as these companies start pulling away content from Netflix, and Netflix is not able to make original content fast enough, and the stuff that they do and have made, honestly, I think is some of the more strong stuff, except for HBO Max. I think HBO Max is doing really, really good stuff, but all these other, exclusive services, the content's kind of lack. But what Netflix has been doing since Netflix started, Stranger Things is a good example. There's some really good content, but it's not enough because we watch it all so damn fast, and you'll see like even Netflix with Stranger Things was like, oh God, we have to like put out an episode a week now to wean people back so that our content lasts for more than an evening, where someone just straps in and prepares themselves like with Milk Plus in the chair and goes, I'm gonna watch all of Stranger Things, and like blasts through the whole thing.
Yeah, but that was one of the whole things about Netflix too, is it's like it's all available right now. You can have it. Here it is. Instead of being like, and here's one for today. No, you have to wait, because I hate that.
But that's new stuff.
I want
old stuff. Binge it. New stuff. Yeah, you're a part of the problem that they created with their convenience. It's terrible.
I like having it all at once, man.
Yeah. Everybody does, and it's what makes us fat, and it's what makes us dumb, and it's what makes us impatient and rude, and we're just not prepared. We can't handle it all. We can't be trusted with all of that power and responsibility.
I waited for all the episodes of Boys to be released before I watched it, because I liked it better that way, watching it all. But they're like hour-long episodes, so it I spread it out over a couple days.
Tyler says he can handle it, and to blast his ass. I don't know if that's a different subscription service that I don't know if we provide here on the Drive-In Speaker Box. Vince says, I don't understand when Netflix deletes a Netflix original from the service, too much bandwidth. Sometimes that has to do with property IP ownership, and sometimes negotiations with talent and cast and crew. There's a lot of legalities because Netflix, some of the stuff that says Netflix original is not necessarily Netflix produced. So some of those things that you see that say Netflix original, it's more like Netflix exclusive, and they have the exclusive rights to that, which may have been produced from a different company or a different studio, but they have exclusive, like a lot of anime.
They put Netflix original on it, but it's been released on NHK for years.
Yeah. And when you start seeing some of that stuff, that's generally when like Stranger Things will never leave Netflix because that is Netflix produced. But for example, like that anime we were talking about, that might disappear because while it was a Netflix original, it was not necessarily produced by Netflix.
When they buy old shows, they go back and they say, "Oh, this is now a Netflix original or a Hulu original," because I think they did the Hulu original thing with. They did that with Orville, and like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, when it started changing hands, I think it now says like Hulu or Peacock or something like that, because it was on Fox, but it was bought by NBC, who was the one that originally had opted for the property, but then sold it because it gets confusing. But just because you see original on something doesn't mean that belongs to them.
Just like when you buy something on Amazon to stream, you don't necessarily own it. It says buy it or rent it. I'm going to buy it so I can own it forever. You only own it as long as
it's just a
Amazon.
rental until they decide it's not.
Exactly. So
speaking of, I have a Netflix disc that I really need to send back because I've
have they
had
been
it.
charging you for it?
Oh yeah, for like 12 years.
What is it?
Some samurai movie that was really dumb and I can't even get through it.
Uh-huh.
I should send it back.
Yeah, it's like Hentai Samurai Sakura Adventure 9000.
No, it's about like a blind samurai. Is like
Zatoichi?
No, not anything cool. It's like a dude who becomes blind, and it's not interesting. It's real slow paced.
What do you have against blind people?
Not what I'm saying.
Oh man. Anyway, yeah, Netflix. It's a strange time. Yeah, we still got the Pinocchio DVD over here. Thanks, Sam. Let's see. Anyway, that's what's been going on. We need to tell you what's coming out this weekend, which is a resounding not much. This weekend, a very, very, very light weekend in theaters. Because nobody wants to compete with Thor.
Right.
We're getting absolutely nothing this weekend. Although, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On is now in about 30 theaters nationwide. Don't know if that's going to trickle here to Northwest Arkansas or wherever it is you are listening or watching us from. But probably the biggest thing that's getting a nationwide release is Where the Crawdads Sing. It's directed by Olivia Newman. It's starring Daisy Edgar Jones and Taylor John Smith. It's about this woman who raised herself in the marshes in the Deep South, because that's the place where everybody likes to film right now. Becomes a suspect in the murder of a man she was once involved with, and definitely an olive branchy looking movie poster and title, but it's up in theaters against Thor, and that's not a great one. Also, speaking of what we were talking about earlier with famous people being voices of animals but not actually acting, we've got the new film Paws of Fury, The Legend of Hank, which is not related to Kung Fu Panda, I don't believe, even though it looks completely like a ripoff of Kung Fu Panda.
No, this one's like a Nickelodeon movie, isn't it?
Yes, and it's the voices of Michael Cera, Ricky Gervais, George Takei, Gabriel Iglesias, Mel Brooks, Demon Hansu, Michelle Yeoh, Samuel Jackson. You've got just a whole bunch of celebrity voices. When Samuel Jackson's like, what the ever happened? He's just doing Samuel Jackson stuff. He's not playing a character. He's just being Samuel Jackson in the form of an animated Asian cat. And that's poor voice actors. Yeah, so that's coming out this weekend, and that's about it, honestly. So not a whole lot to choose from new in the theaters. You're going to get a lot of breathing room for your Thors and your other blockbusters that are the Minions and all that jazz. A lot of kids movies this in theaters this weekend. So yeah, you can check it out.
You know what was exciting that I saw at our theater that we will hopefully be getting soon because they got the poster for it? Dragon Ball Super Superhero.
Well, pull out your Saiyan guy.
My Gogeta?
Your Gogeta that just lives on the table and never sees the light of camera.
Well, it's because he's just too cool, dude.
There he is.
Yeah,
so,
hell yeah.
Hardy Entertainment says he liked the Netflix DVD service, as did I, because you could get...
It's still there. It still exists.
You got to pay a premium for it, but you can get a lot of stuff.
You can get things that you can't stream.
Exactly. You can get a lot of stuff. Let's see. Tyler says, why have IMAX tickets for Nope still not shown up? Nope doesn't come out until, I want to say, the 22nd. That's not this weekend, but the next. That's when that one's coming out. So we'll talk about that one a little bit more next week. But those are your new offerings in theaters this week. So there you have it, folks. That's what's coming out. So let's review the new Thor. Let's do it. It's that time. We saw Thor: Love and Thunder.
We did.
And
Thor, vaguely metal-ish, the movie.
Oh, yeah, stealing every 70s and 80s rock and roll band font.
Well, it was like, Thor, it's going to be heavy metal, rock and roll time. And it was like, this could be cool. And then it was like...
Only silly transitions of Guns N' Roses song.
Yeah, like really, really soft metal.
But anyway, of course, this is the fourth Thor film.
Which means it has more than any of the others, right?
Because money.
Because Avengers, they did 2, and then they did the 2-parter.
Well,
right?
and here's why. So Thor, back in 2011, you'll remember this is a movie that was a Shakespearean drama. Essentially, about like family murder and all this kind of stuff. And they're like, oh man, who should we get to do a Shakespearean sort of superhero movie? Well, we'll get Kenneth Branagh because he's the Shakespeare guy, and what a talented director. And everybody was like, this movie was kind of boring. And, this is told Thor's story, but, it wasn't radical enough. And then the second one came out. They tried to introduce it into the kind of the Avengers storyline, and it was whatever. And everyone's like, well, it's still kind of boring. And
evil elf alien stupid things.
And then Guardians of the Galaxy happened, and they're like, well, let's take these characters that no one has a whole lot of vested interest in and just throw a whole bunch of shit at the wall and make a bunch of jokes and make it an action comedy. Let's make Lethal Weapon in space. And they're like, all right, let's do it. And it worked. And they're like, oh man, oh geez, maybe nobody cares enough about Thor anymore since these 2 movies sucked, and let's Guardians of the Galaxy it. Let's just go ahead and do that. And then Thor Ragnarok happened. They're like, let's get Taika Waititi because everybody thinks he's freaking hilarious. And they did, and it made all the money, and everyone's like, oh my god, I completely forgot about the other 2 Thor movies, and the fact that Chris Hemsworth's performance as Thor in the first one is nothing like Chris Hemsworth's performance as Thor in the last one, because now it's just
anything else.
It's just Chris Hemsworth being Chris Hemsworth now. And because audiences like that. We're no longer playing characters. We're like, I like that celebrity. He's hot and kind of funny, and I'd like to have a beer with that guy. So let's put him in a cave, give him a hammer, and watch him do silly stuff. And they're like, it worked. And they're like, Taika Waititi's funny. He made a cameo in the last one, so let's put him in every 15 seconds of this movie. And if there's not a moment of space, let's have Taika Waititi go, hey, what's up, bro? And just add that in there, and then we'll talk about Thor's penis, and then we'll talk about we're gonna do all of this just insanity. We'll give kids laser guns because kids want to buy stuff, so we'll give them a big scene to where teddy bears have lightning and everybody's a superhero, and the kids are gonna love that. And what else? We're gonna just compile this 2-hour long series of cool ideas, and then oh god, I guess we're gonna try to figure out how to put a plot around this. Oh yeah, let's get Christian Bale.
So the villain plot in the movie is loose and
also the best part of the movie, which is swept under most of the rug. Right.
Yeah, because they got to focus on their jokes and Russell Crowe being awful.
They did. So I read an interview where Russell Crowe was saying that he did 2 different versions. He did Zeus with no accent, and then Zeus with the Greek accent, and they went with Zeus with the Greek accent.
Okay, good, because that's he was probably the best part of the whole movie. Maybe.
I mean, I really, like Tyler on YouTube said, he said that it was the coolest villain in a little while. I really, really did like Christian Bale as Gore, but I felt that it didn't get enough screen time.
It did not get enough screen time, and they made him they're like, dude, this guy's ominous AF. And then they're like,
but he's also a jokester.
But not really. Yeah. So there was a lot of things that they threw out, and they give you things for a minute, and you're like, well, this is cool. And then you're like, well, forget about it. Like, Thor had his cool heavy metal intro where he's like the rocker dude with the vest, and he's like hero of the universe, and everyone's like, yes, this guy rules. And they're like, oh, and that's done. And they're like,
they're making him more and more and more of a dipshit as each one of these movies comes out, because like by the second film, he'd learned some lessons. He's like, if I've got to be a protector of Asgard, I got to have some responsibility. And then he like lost his eye, and he's like, oh, if I got to protect my friends. And then this one, he's like, yo, dude.
Well, so the Thor and Jane relationship part was actually pretty good. That was like a human story to tell within this goofball movie, and that part was I actually kind of liked that part, like the why they grew apart and how they split up and how neither one of them really wanted to, but they were closing themselves off to protect themselves and ended up hurting themselves and each other in the process. And so it was a very human story to tell, and that part of it was why we have movies and stories and things like that. But then you have it where Tessa Thompson comes in and does something stupid, and you have Korg say something goofy, and then you have a goat scream as loud as possible, which when they first brought him in was funny, and then it continued the whole movie. And
it felt like I was watching like at least for the first hour anyway, that I was watching like 30-second TikTok videos that have been compiled into an hour-long, whatever.
The coherency of the movie is not there. It's very chopped up, and they jump from scene to scene, and they don't explain it, and they're like, "Oh, here we are."
And it ends with a punchline. And
yeah,
it's
and they'll do something like put on an outfit just to take it off,
and make a goat scream at the camera.
Yeah, and so the coherency of the movie kind of pulls you out of it quite a bit. Just to move on to the next comedy joke, because like we don't know how to end this, so we're just going to cut immediately to this. Oh, here's another joke, and it keeps moving. And the parts of it where they get kind of serious are the good parts, and there's just not enough of that with Gore and the kidnapped children and his reason for taking these Asgardian children. I wish they would have explained him more instead of being like, here's his origin and we're going to jump forward an unknown amount of years. Well,
and I also wish, and this is just me being nitpickety, one of my problems with the Thor Ragnarok and then Thor, Love and Thunder is not that I don't think that they're entertaining films, right? The sum of their parts, the parts I think are a lot of cool scenes that you watch a thing and you're like, that was cool. But, a lot of those scenes back to back, a good movie does not make. At the end of it, you're like looking at the sum of its parts. And I don't think that it succeeds in that sense. And plugging it into the MCU, I think it makes it even weaker because, we just got off the coattails of a movie about a parent who lost a child and went crazy and decided to kill everybody. And I saw that already, and it was Doctor Strange, Mom, M-O-M, Mouth of Madness, and it was like, I'm an angry parent, you took my kid away, everyone's gonna die, and then, okay, got it, cool, that worked, and now we're like running right into another movie with the exact same villain plot line. It's like, you took my kid away, I'm gonna kill you, everybody's gonna die, and it's like, could we have at least shaken this up a little bit or not connected the universes so that these two plot lines didn't seem so freaking similar? Because if I had just separated these two movies as not being interconnected, it wouldn't have bothered me so much. But this is technically a sequel to the last Marvel property that we made, because they have spent awful number of years pounding in our head to all of these movies that are sequels to the other ones, and I don't like that.
I didn't even think about that.
But, yeah. I mean, yeah. This movie's full of cool moments, full of rad moments, too, and like the doing shit with the axe and like, cool triumphant scenes and like throwing that lightning bolt up at Zeus was badass. And, there's some pretty rad.
Its name is Thunderbolt.
That's right. Thunderbolt. But, at the end of the day, I didn't feel like the whole movie was as badass as all those individual scenes were. So yeah, it kind of felt weird for me watching this movie. Because I wanted more from it, but I Taika Waititi is a very talented dude, and I'm looking forward to
make more Jojo Rabbits and less Thor 3s.
Yes, 100%. Tyler says this movie made me really want a Taika Waititi Flash Gordon. I'd be okay with that. I think that would work. That'd be really pretty cool, right? I mean, this is our Flash Gordon resident expert over here.
The only thing is, he would cast himself as Ming. And
He's not. Well,
I don't want that.
Yeah.
Is Max von Sydow still alive, or is he still alive? Did he die last year?
No, he was in a Star Wars. I don't think he died.
Yeah, he was in the first one of the new 3. If Max von Sydow is still alive,
then get on it, Taika.
Then he's gonna have to be Ming.
Al says he's dead. So
that
must have died
my
recently.
entire life. 2020, so 2 years ago.
2 years
I knew
ago.
I'd heard about it recently. Okay, so CG Max von Sydow.
Yeah, deep fake him.
Yeah,
we can do it. We have the technology, but
I will watch a Flash Gordon movie for sure, and that would be a better hero movie
and tongue-in-cheek hero movie. I think the property lends itself to somebody like Taika Waititi to have fun with it.
Yeah, the Hawkmen and the
and him being a football guy. Just kind of the absurdity of it all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would be into that.
Well, so there's different origins of Flash. He can be football, or he can be a track star, or he can be
an Earth
whatever.
athlete.
Yeah.
But anyway, Thor: Love and Thunder. I thought I was thankful that the runtime was only 2 hours. That was good. That was a plus. There was fun little moments. I liked the relationship between Thor and the 2 weapons. I think that was my favorite relationship in the whole movie.
It was too goofy.
Well, they hammered it not to pun intended, hammered it a little too hard there. But there were some funny moments establishing that, because those inanimate objects can't talk, and the joke didn't need to be just beaten over the head. But yeah, I could have done with a lot not being in it, like the goats and the pandering child scene where every kid becomes a Thor, and I mean it was just like it seemed like
so with that,
Ghostbusters toy commercial where it was
Right.
like, I'm a Ghostbuster now.
But if that's been available the whole time, why has he not?
My point.
Because Ultron would have been nothing if he was able to do that.
Everything would have been nothing if he'd been like, all of these people around here, you're Thor for the next 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. And everyone's like, yeah, me too. But I guess it only works on kids, because we got to make it for the kids. These kids movies, that we got to make for the kids, because kids got to like the kid stuff. And every time I hear somebody say something like that, I just my always default response is, some of the most favorite and beloved movies of all time that resonate with both kids and adults alike did not pander to the kids. You make something that everyone likes, and then guess what? Everyone likes it. You don't have to go, but for your kids, fuck your kids. Like, they will learn. If it's good, they'll like it.
Ghostbusters and Jurassic Park are not children's movies, but they are beloved by children.
Exactly. So, even the original Iron Man, not necessarily a kid's movie, but ended up being adored by kids. And, you don't have to make everything fart and scream and talk about a butt, to make the kids happy, or give kids superpower. It's just, oh my God, it's not always about the kids. I'm sorry you worship your children, but maybe a little less worship will make them grow up to be better humans. Just like the generations before us, I grew up fine. Everything didn't revolve around me. All the movies that I watched, my parents loved, and they were awesome movies. So,
That's true. I have a lot of T2 toys, and Terminator, it's definitely not made with kids in mind. James Cameron wasn't and then he picks up this minigun and blasts everyone. Kids are going to love it.
Kids are going to love it.
Yeah.
Adam says the children are profitable. And to a point, because the funny thing is adults with kids are the most profitable, because kids aren't going out to the theater dropping their money on it, right? They're getting money from the parents because the kids want to go. But if the parents also want to go, and the parents think the toy's rad and the kids think the toy's rad, you sell double toys. And so it's a win-win. Actually, it just is harder creatively to make something like that. I mean, you look at Hayao Miyazaki. He was making things, not going, you know what, I really got to sell these toys. But guess whose movies have more merchandise like made after them than almost any other kids' movies in the history of kids' movies? It's Hayao Miyazaki. You can buy a Miyazaki anything now. And, I mean, there's a Kodama right there. Yeah, he's grabbing it. I mean, there's some Miyazaki right there. You know, and as Tyler said, Star Wars toys were like the most profitable toys ever, and that movie didn't pander to children necessarily. And also, the toys were a second thought to, you know, George Lucas couldn't get anybody to make these toys. And that's why he went to Kenner, which was a dying toy manufacturer, and was like, hey, you want to make these toys? Please. And they're like, well, I guess we're not doing anything. No one buys our pieces of shit toys. So Kenner made them, and then, you know, no one wanted the rights to them. So Lucas kept all that with a slight kickback to Kenner, and then created one of the most profitable like toy generating movies ever because he just made a good movie. And focusing just on the kids is a short-term investment that doesn't have long-term profitability.
I think this movie has scenes of it. It's not entirely dedicated to it because, I mean, they do end up, you know, they cuss quite a bit, and they're like, they have nudie scenes, and they're like, well, this character is LGBTQ, and kids are going to have to ask you about that to find out for themselves. And then they have some pretty gnarly death stuff, and then there's the cancer thing. There's some
but no one actually dies in this movie. There's zero consequence.
Well, two people die.
No?
Yeah, two people die.
No. The bad guy, but
people.
only after he turned into a good guy. And then that's it. Literally no one else had a sad, tragic ending.
So, all right. So Tyler brings up when Christian Bale, when Gore the God Butcher shows up and he's in the cage with the children because they're telling stories of Thor and how he's going to come save them, and he appears out of the shadows. He's like, "That's fun. Look at this animal. Rip its head off!" And kids are like freaking out. That's what the movie needed more of. Was the villain being a villain and being terrifying, but instead he shows up every 2 or 3 seconds just to be like, "Hey, I'm still here," and they're like, "Oh yeah,
don't forget me. I'm the reason this movie's here."
The driving plot of the movie.
Going back in the comments there, I wanted to mention this. Al on Facebook said, this comment, I read it incorrectly the first time because I thought he said, "Man, children are the most profitable," but then I realized he said, "Man, children are the most profitable," and I was like, yes, they are. yeah, look behind you.
Yeah.
Anyway. But as Adam said on YouTube, burn and churn forgettable content. That is what so much of this stuff is. And then, but a lot of these people want to churn and burn, but they want that huge, long cult fandom. They're trying to find out how to get both. It's like, how do we get this long-term obsessed fandom, but also churn and burn it? And I don't think those two things work together, and I think that's why so much of our content, we're getting so much content, and so much of it is just watered down. But you know, you don't have to take my word for it. Dun dun. Reading Rainbow.
Overall, it's not a bad movie, but
no, I had fun.
There's things that they did that would have been cool if they would have stuck with it, like the whole rock and roll, heavy metal theme type thing like the movie opens with, if they would have done something like that through the whole movie, because it starts out and it does the Marvel theme, and it's kind of like it starts out original and then it goes into like a shreddy guitar, but you're like, hey, this is rad, and then it cuts off, and it's like, that's all you get. You just get the taste of what it could have been, but that's all it is. And then it skips to something else, and you're like, well, Thor's super lame, but then he becomes a heavy metal rock and roll dude, and it's like, what was that video game with Jack Black where you're like the rock Brutal Legend?
Oh, Brutal Legend.
It was like Brutal Legend for a few minutes, and you're like, this is sick. And he does like Jean-Claude Van Damme splits between two motorcycles by these like heavy metal chicken people.
Speaking of Van Damme splits, as Tyler said on YouTube, the Van Damme split scene with Thor. Because it was he even did the Van Damme like scream yell. I mean, it was clearly
and it was sick.
It was pretty fun.
And then they're like,
because it was a Van Damme reference.
Yeah, and they're like, well, that's all you get. And you're like, no, keep the movie exactly this. This is so good. And they're like, nope, it's done. And then they just move on to the next thing. So It was kind of like he had like Taika Waititi and Chris Hemsworth had an idea board, and they just like threw a bunch of darts at it, and they're like, okay, well, we threw too many darts, but I really don't want to get rid of any.
I want to let go of
them.
this one.
Yeah, so let's find a way to cram them all in there. But I still think Russell Crowe was probably the best part.
Yeah, I enjoyed the scene in the Hall of the Gods. Like, there's a lot of great scenes. Like, I'm not saying so. I can say a lot of pick apart things about a movie that at the end of the day I enjoyed. I enjoyed my time in the theater watching Thor.
It was better than Thor 3. Everything's better than Thor 2.
Yeah,
so
there you go.
There you go.
Let's see. Adam says, I'm glad y'all liked Bale. That was who I was excited for. You'll enjoy his performance. I mean, Christian Bale's a great, talented actor.
There's just not enough of him. Oh, and the CG in this movie is really distracting. So if the visual effects are something that can bother you, they're not done very well in this movie for something that had
rough
such
CGI.
Yeah, like when Christian Bale's first introduced and that like dude grabs him and it's like all jumbly on the blue screen or whatever. Some of it
a little weird.
Yeah, it could be better.
Well, let's wrap it on up with the box office roundup, you guys. Each week, if you are new to the show, we give you the box office roundup at the end of the show. The reason we give you this is because money talks. Follow the money. And like any detective, follow the money and you'll find the answers. We give you the top 10 movies in America, how they performed, and you can usually see what's going to leave theaters, what's going to get a sequel, what's happening in the movie world by following the money. So this week, we're going to give you the domestic totals for July 8th through 10th. These are just United States numbers because that's what the studios look at the most. And we will start with number 10, work our way up to number 1. Take it away, Jake.
All right, number 10, still hanging in there. One of the movies we talked about tonight, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, brought in $245,000, but that brings its domestic total up to $411 million. So it's not like it's hurting. It's been in theaters for 10 weeks, so it's had its fair run, no doubt. Number 9 coming in, dropping from number 7, Mr. Malcolm's List in its second week of release, which is
not
nearly
a wide release though.
Nearly a 70% drop though, bringing in only $255,000 for its domestic total of $1.6 million.
It actually got dropped from theaters. It only opened up in about 1,400 theaters nationwide, and this week it like lost 300. So that's not good.
Yeah, I have you seen a trailer for this?
I saw one.
Probably not. Yeah, exactly. Number 8 coming up the ranks, increasing with a 25% increase. Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, $322,000, bringing its domestic total after 3 weeks just shy of $1 million to $945,000 for its total.
And keep in mind, though, this is only in less than 50 theaters. So the average per theater that this is generating is actually more than the number 2 movie in America. So every theater that this movie's in is doing really well.
3, because the number 2 is bringing in
10,
big dollars.
Yep, more than number 3. So it would be number 3 if you applied this metric to more theaters.
Yeah.
But there you go.
In its fourth week, coming in at number 7, Lightyear, with a 50% drop, bringing in just over $3 million for its domestic total of $112.5 million. Not what Disney wanted to see. I
don't think so.
Absolutely certain, because
these numbers aren't going to infinity and beyond.
Yeah, so that Chris not doing as well as the other. Because what's his Chris, the Captain
Evans?
Kirk? Yeah, no, Captain Kirk.
Pine?
Yeah, Chris Pine's the voice of Lightyear in that.
I thought it was Chris Evans.
No, Chris Evans is Captain America.
Oh, all these Chris's. They all look the same to me.
They might, yeah. Coming in number 6, The Black Phone, in its third week. I didn't realize it had already been out for 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Bringing in $7.7 million.
It's pretty good,
That
too.
is a 36% drop, but it's a horror movie, and it bring in a total of just under $62.5 million.
Pretty good for a horror movie.
Not bad for a horror movie.
And I reviewed this one, Lightyear, and Elvis all on the last episode of the Drive-In Speaker Box, so you can.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was a jam-cram show. It was just me sitting here in the chair going through 3 whole movies. Like
I was
rapid
too
fire.
sick to watch it, and I haven't gone back yet because I guess I'm a bad person. How was Black Phone? Pretty
It was good.
creepy.
It was creepy. I wasn't scary. It was. I mean, it was. It was
like
more
the kid
spooky.
answers
Yeah.
the phone, and it's the children that have
Yeah.
been murdered talking to him.
Yeah.
right?
So it's not. You actually like it.
And Ethan Hawke is the killer or something like that.
And he does great.
Yeah,
He's-
Ethan Hawke's a good actor. Yeah,
Yeah.
he does good stuff. Coming in at number 5 in its 5th week, Jurassic World Dominion, also nearly a 50% drop, bringing in 8.6 million this weekend, which I'm astonished by when it's going up against something like Thor to still hold that kind of money-making power in 5 weeks. Its domestic total coming at 350.5 million.
proving that it doesn't have to be good to take our money.
Right. Yeah.
Mm.
Well, dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Doesn't even have to make sense. Who cares if it makes sense? Where did Giganotosaurus come from? Where did these Quetzalcoatlus come from? Who cares? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they were bred and raised, and how come all these dinosaurs are being able to make offspring, and out of the 35 dinosaurs that escaped, how are there now millions and millions across the world? How did the herbivores travel across continental borders with oceans and seas between
Nothing
them?
to eat.
Yeah, and no way to swim that far. There's no way Triceratops is going to be like, you know what? I can make it.
Let's do this.
Yeah, Atlantic Ocean ain't shit. Just start, yeah.
Just dog paddling.
Yeah, there's just no way. But who cares? You know, because dollars. Coming in number 4, Elvis, bringing in a total of 11.2 million, and its domestic total is now at 91.3 after 3 weeks of release. Also, didn't realize that one had been out that long. Was it good?
I enjoyed Elvis.
Okay.
I thought Baz Luhrmann. You couldn't have picked a better director for the movie. Pretty cool.
Lisa Marie said that she's like, that's my dad on screen. So, big praises coming out before the movie was released. So that's good to hear that it was good. And then another one hanging in tough. And I'm glad to see that this one is making more money than things like Jurassic World.
So much money.
Top Gun Maverick in its 7th week, bringing in more dollars than Jurassic Park at $15.5 million this week.
For being 7 weeks out and still in the top 3, especially when you got a Jurassic World out there and a Lightyear out there, like damn, bruh.
Yeah, killing it.
Damn. And it's in the $1 billion club. So
Oh, nice. International, because its domestic total's just under 600 million. But you know what? Top Gun Maverick is sick.
yeah, it's
it is such a fun
1.1
movie.
1.1 billion.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Good job, Tom Cruise. Killing it.
You did it.
I was reading somewhere that the other actor in that, what's his name?
Miles Teller?
Yeah, Miles Teller said he teased another Top Gun. Please don't.
Yeah,
don't do that.
Don't do
go
it.
out
You
on
made your
top with
billion.
this
You
one.
made your billion.
Yeah, I mean, one.
Be satisfied.
You wouldn't be able to have Maverick in it except for being like hey, go out there and do it, Rooster. And no one wants to watch a Rooster movie. That's dumb.
no
People
one
want
does.
Maverick. And
right.
you kind of just let it be the end here. But coming in at number 2 in its 2nd week of release, dropping from that number 1 spot to give it up to what will be announced in a moment. Minions: Rise of Gru brought in $46.1 million this week
The
alone.
internet's an insane place. I mean, have you read all the controversy about Minions?
No.
So there is a TikTok phenomenon going on right now called it's Gentle Minions. And it's a bunch of teenagers generally teenagers dressing in like suits or minions, and then going to like formal wear, and then going and like basically cash mobbing these theaters. But in the scenes of the movie, anytime there's like a minion or Gru, I don't remember. I don't know the intricacies of how the meme game works. Everyone just goes bananas and starts screaming and throwing stuff in the theaters. But it's gotten so bad that there's several theaters and theater chains in the UK that have already banned this movie and are removing it from theaters because there's destruction of property. All these people that are trying to go internet viral by doing more and more insane stuff in the theaters. They're like, no, if you come dressed as a minion or you come dressed in formal wear to this movie, we will not accept you. And some of them, like I said, straight removing the movie completely.
Well, that's a bummer because it sounds like it could be a fun thing.
Yeah.
But
leave it to the internet, and no one respects shit anymore, so can't have nice things.
Yeah, that's a bummer because the Minions can be fun. I don't see the appeal myself, but I have a family member that has Down syndrome. My fiance also has a family member with Down syndrome. They're obsessed with Minions, and my family has long been convinced that they that are that they can understand the language of the Minions. It's like because they talk the same thing, but. So I can see the fun in them, especially for a specific audience of children and people that
I think
have
that
grown
the Minions,
up with that kind of thing.
The Minions franchise just entered the $1 billion club as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but that's all of them.
I see the appeal, but I hate that people are taking it too far and making something that could be a lot of fun and
turning it into dumbass internet shit.
Making it too much. But the number one movie that Minions lost its top spot to released this past weekend. Thor, Love and Thunder, bring in $144 million.
Quite an opening.
$100 million more than the next movie on the list. That's an average of $33,000 per screen.
Yeah, it's nailing it. So, good job, Thor. Good job, Disney. Good job, Taika Waititi, giving the people what clearly the recipe that we like and want. Even though reviews or people are like, it's not as good as the last one. And it's like,
it's definitely better than Thor 3.
Honestly. Yeah. Vince says, since opening the Despicable Me films along with their, $4 billion. My bad. Yeah, I misspoke. So yeah, $4 billion. I knew it was $1 billion something or another. So $4 billion globally. Yeah. Good job. Minions. Billions. I was trying to put Minions and billions. It didn't work. Yeah. They can't all be winners, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. So yeah, that's your box office roundup for this week, July 8th through 10th, 2022. Booyah. Not much coming out next week. Maybe some fun showing of something will be out there. I don't know if I'm going to see where the Crawdads sing or not. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen next week on the Drive-In Speaker Box? We don't, because we didn't plan that far ahead. So, but if you want, make sure to tell your friends. Don't let the moth free. I saw your hand on it.
That's the end of the show.
I'm going to take it outside and set it free so it won't die in here.
Okay. I like that idea.
But yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe. Tell your friends.
Thanks,
Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. You can join in on all the fun on our streaming thing. You can watch old episodes. But if you want to just listen to it on the go, you can subscribe to wherever you subscribe. Oh, thanks for the follow there, Opal Koala. Now we just got to get you to sub. But yeah, you can download this podcast anywhere you get your podcasts. So be that Spotify or Apple Music or Google Music or iHeartRadio. Like wherever you go, you can find the Drive-In Speaker Box. So there you go.
Yeah, and before we go, Vince mentioned Fathom events. Keep an eye out for that. Those are always something for weeks like this that don't have a lot going on. Or like we talked about earlier, Clerks 3 is advertised as being like a 2-day theater run through Fathom events, just like saying Jay and Silent Bob Reboot was a Fathom event thing. Plenty going on. I think Ghibli Fest might be happening still. I don't know. I'd have to look it up. But he mentioned One Piece Gold will be shown as a Fathom event. It looks pretty good. Luffy and Shanks re-meet or something like that. So we'll see. And I don't know how Dragon Ball Superheroes being released. It may be a Fathom event because they do that kind of thing. But keep an eye out for those kinds of things and show older movies and limited release some love at the theater for that. So
heck yeah. Well, all right, guys. We will catch you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
See ya.
As you leave the theater, folks, please be careful. Don't let this happen to your car. Be sure to remove the speaker before you leave. If you should accidentally pull a speaker loose, please turn it in at our snack bar or box office. Thank you.